On a small island off the southern coast of Korea, Jeju, a girl named Ae-sun grew up in the shadow of the sea. Her mother was a haenyeo, one of the legendary women divers who braved the ocean's depths to provide for their families. But life was harsh, and when her mother passed away too soon, Ae-sun was left with heavy burdens. Even in hardship, she carried a secret treasure: her love for books and poetry. She dreamed of leaving Jeju, of stepping onto the mainland, of living a life filled with words and ideas. Yet poverty, family expectations, and the island's isolation pressed down on her dreams. By her side was Gwan-sik, a boy from the village who was quiet and unassuming, yet steady as the tides. While Ae-sun's eyes reached for distant horizons, Gwan-sik's heart stayed firmly with her. His devotion was simple. He carried her burdens when he could, and when she stumbled, he was the one who helped her stand again. As they grew older, affection blossomed between them. It was not the fiery passion of a fairy tale, but something quieter and more enduring. Still, their love was tested. Ae-sun's stepfather disapproved. Class differences and village gossip reminded them of their place. Yet despite all obstacles, Ae-sun chose Gwan-sik, and together they began a life as husband and wife. Marriage was not an escape into bliss, but an entry into responsibility. Ae-sun moved into Gwan-sik's family home, where daily chores, traditions, and the expectations of elders shaped her every action. She bore children, worried about money, and wondered if her youthful dreams would ever see daylight again. Gwan-sik, determined to support his family, worked tirelessly. With Ae-sun's encouragement and her grandmother's savings, they bought a boat. That boat changed their fate. It allowed them to catch more fish, to sell at market, to slowly build a house of their own. For a while, hope seemed to shine. But fate can be cruel. During a violent storm, their youngest son, little Dong-myeon, was lost to the sea. The grief was unbearable, and yet, in a world that never pauses, Ae-sun and Gwan-sik had no choice but to keep moving, for their other children, for survival, for each other. Years passed. The 1980s came. Korea was changing, and so was Jeju. Ae-sun, who once felt voiceless, now found herself leading others. Against doubt and ridicule, she ran for village chief and won. In her victory, she showed her community that women too could lead. Their daughter Jun-myeon grew up with possibilities her mother never knew. She studied, she dreamed, she left the island for the mainland. But just as Ae-sun had struggled with the pull between ambition and duty, so did her daughter. Love and opportunity collided. Choices were never easy. Still, Ae-sun and Gwan-sik sacrificed what they could so that Jun-myeon might walk a freer path. Older age came quietly, as it always does. Ae-sun and Gwan-sik looked back on a lifetime of love and struggle. Poverty endured, children raised, dreams both lost and realized. They were proud of their family, even if regrets lingered. Then came the final trial. Gwan-sik fell ill with cancer. In his last days, he worried aloud that he had not made life easier for Ae-sun, that perhaps she had suffered because of him. But Ae-sun, with tears in her eyes, told him she had never been lonely, not once, because he had always been by her side. After his passing, Ae-sun faced the silence of widowhood, yet she did not fade. The girl who once scribbled verses in secret finally returned to her words. In her 60s and 70s, she published poetry. She volunteered at an elderly care home, teaching former haenyeo women to read, to write, to give voice to lives long overlooked. And so, her story closed not with despair, but with dignity. She had not lived the life she once dreamed of, but she had lived fully, with love, with resilience, with meaning. The title says it best: when life gives you tangerines. Life had handed Ae-sun hardship, sacrifice, and sorrow. But she and Gwan-sik had turned even the bitterest moments into something sweet, into family, into love, into poetry that endures. Their story reminds us that not every dream comes true, but every life holds beauty. Love may not erase suffering, but it can transform it. And when we look back, perhaps it is not the things we gained or lost that matter most, but the people who walked beside us through it all.